Let's get this puppy rolling. What's up, y'all? My Chrome's homies. It's the Sean Todd podcast. We were supposed to have on a different guest as the next episode of the pod, but things aren't working out schedule-wise. Trying to get that set up for y'all. It's actually going to be who y'all voted for, which is a millionaire businessman. I'm sure he's going to bring some super helpful advice to a lot of people. I've known him for about 10-ish years. We trained bodybuilding together. We worked together. I worked for him. He's been a business mentor for me. He's been a kind of a life mentor for me, a friend. So I respect this guy for a lot of reasons, but I'll describe him more, and we'll get more into that when he's actually coming on the show, and I'll leave his name unsaid for now so that we can keep him anonymous and make it a surprise when he does come on the show. But we're back. Today's episode is just going to be myself checking in with my people. Sipping right here. Y'all know the first question. Is it liquor? Is it lightning? You may not be able to tell, especially because it looks like it's in a whiskey glass. Cheers to anyone out there who's sipping right now. But this is actually a nitro cold brew, so we're not sipping the liquor today. This is just some caffeine to get that mind going for the pod and for y'all. So we'll move on past that. The next thing we always do on the pod is we check in because we want to make sure everybody's doing okay, everybody's mental and physical is on point, and so we give a 1 to 10 score on how my, as well as the guest if we have one's, mental is doing. For me right now, my mental is it's good in a lot of ways, and then in a couple ways it's kind of like I'm kind of scatterbrained. So overall, I'm gonna give it an 8.5. I'm pretty optimistic about the whole thing. Even the stuff that's kind of clouded my mind a little bit, it's causing me to stay on top of things, and I kind of feel like I do my best work, I'm most productive, and I work most efficiently when I'm kind of backed into a corner with, a fork in a road. You got to decide what's the best route to go. You got to make sure you do this correctly so that, things go smooth down the road. You have to plan ahead once you become an adult and you start getting hit with things. For me right now, there's a little bit of a vehicle situation going on. I'm getting that fixed. I'm actually trading vehicles with someone in my family. I've got a physical thing going on, which I'll describe in a minute, which kind of can affect the mental as well. But I'm also dating someone just recently. That's kind of an announcement. I'm letting it out here on the pod, but I've got a girlfriend now, and her name is Linnea. I don't know for sure that she wants to fully be released social media wise, so we're going to keep it anonymous. I mean, you got her name now, so if y'all go digging, that's on y'all. Everything's going great with us, and so that part of my life's great. Family's great. So again, I'll give it an 8 as far as the mental. A lot to balance, but I'm feeling good. As far as the physical, it's kind of the same thing. Mostly I'm great. I feel great, but I've got this something going on where I'm having hip or back pain. I don't really know which it is. It's kind of both. It's kind of in an in-between area, and it seems to affect both. And I can't figure out what the cause is right now, but I'm working through it. The same exact pain happened last year, and I thought that it was possibly a kidney situation, some kidney pain, because of, as a bodybuilder, someone who's really into bodybuilding as well as being an influencer and having multiple jobs, caffeine and supplements play a big role in my life. And so I felt like maybe that was affecting my kidneys and causing that pain. So I made some big changes as far as what supplements I take, what energy drinks, things like that I allow in my life. And then it went away. And so I kind of felt like that was my fix, And so then this year I've continued along that path. I don't do the things that I felt like were causing it beforehand, but it's come back. And so I'm trying to figure out, man, was it not those things? Did it just heal on its own? And really it was a physical thing that I caused. And so I'm trying to pinpoint what caused it. And, sometimes that can be hard to do with so many things going on in your life. And, did I eat something different? Is it causing me to feel a certain way? Am I physically doing something different with my workouts. And one of the things I think it might be, which I really hope it's not, because it'd be a downer to find that out, but jiu-jitsu is something I've found myself to really love doing, and it kind of keeps me in a humble state, in a constantly learning state, physically active state. But right around the time I started jiu-jitsu last year, just getting back into it after the holidays recently, it came back, that pain, and it was around that same time last year when I started jiu-jitsu. So I'm thinking, is it something in my core that I'm straining when I'm doing jiu-jitsu, because it's such a unique sport in the fact that you use so much core, and it's kind of like wrestling. For those of you out there who have wrestled, it's not really like a football or a baseball or basketball as much as it is as far as the torque in your abdomen. So again, I kind of give a lot of details there, but I want to just be transparent with you guys. I want this to be a community feel, a family feel, like you are the homies. You guys are the chromies coming in to just check in with me, and I'm checking in with y'all. Feel free to give your scores in the comments even, for your mental and physical. So my physical, I'm going to give it an 8 as well, because I really feel great other than that pain I'm having, but I can't seem to quite figure it out just yet. So we're working through that. So I'm going to give it an 8 on both. Next thing, we go to topic 1. And so for this pod, this is going to be a topic that it's going to spark interest in a lot of people. And then there's going to be another group of people I feel they may not have much interest in it whatsoever. So we'll see. But the people that it does spark interest with, I feel like they're going to have a strong opinion on it. So I hope I don't rub anybody the wrong way. My intention is never to stir up drama. I feel like all walks of life and all outlooks deserve to be heard. So, let's all try to keep it within reason when we make comments or anything like that. But the topic is the Joe Rogan controversy. And if you are in the podcast world, the influencer world, if you've watched his podcast, if you stay up to date with famous people and what drama they're going through at all, you probably have heard about it at least. But if you haven't, I'll describe it a little bit for you to start. So Joe Rogan's got the largest podcast in the world. He's extremely rich these days. He's famous for multiple reasons, but his podcast has definitely brought him the most attention and fame. From my perspective, I've been a fan of Joe Rogan's podcast, and even just Joe Rogan himself and his other endeavors for, good Lord, a long time, big percentage of my life. And I'm not going to go through everything he does, because I could just sit there and ramble about that for days. Probably most famous for the UFC or Fear Factor before his podcast, but that's all. I'll go into that. And this controversy that's come up has been that on his podcast, 2 things have been an issue that people have stated. One is that he's spreading misinformation in regards to COVID-19 and what information surrounds that topic and what's correct and incorrect. As far as him spreading misinformation and what information is correct or incorrect, I don't want to get too much in the weeds of, because I'm not the most educated person on that myself, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I know exactly what someone should or shouldn't be saying. But what I will speak to is the notion that he's purposefully spreading misinformation. I don't believe that he's purposefully spreading information that's incorrect to the public. I feel like, from my perspective, having watched his show a long time and having been on camera myself for a decent amount of time over the previous years, I feel like he's just being open towards all views. And so whether some views are correct or incorrect in the moment when he's speaking to the person, if they're educated on the topic, or if they're more educated than he is, if he feels like they bring something to the table, whether it be a certification or a degree or experience that he doesn't have, I feel like he lets them take the lead and he lets them say what they have to say. He hears them out, and if he feels like he agrees or it makes sense, then he's going to do that, as he's conversating with them on the podcast. But in my opinion, I don't feel like he's pushing any type of narrative or pushing a specific set of facts or statements or information that are necessarily incorrect. He knows they're incorrect and he's pushing it. I think that he's pushing what he believes to be true based on what he's heard from professionals in different fields. There's going to be professionals in fields that have differing opinions, and that's okay. And so, who is he or anybody in particular to sit there and say that person is dead wrong when they might be a professional in their area, very experienced in their area. And as we've seen, as COVID's progressed and the past 2 years have happened, a lot of things we thought in the beginning aren't necessarily true anymore. So you could say anyone along the line who said something it's no longer the consensus thinking. You could say that person was spreading misinformation, but at the time they might not have known, or we all might not have known. So I feel like there's a little bit of it's a little hypocritical. It's a little bit judgmental to try to cancel him for any type of information that anyone thinks he's spread, because I feel like he does bring on people from both sides of the very stark contrast of opinions around that topic. So that's my opinion on the first piece of the Joe Rogan controversy. Let me wet my whistle here. My second, the second topic surrounding Joe Rogan that's bringing this controversy is a little bit deeper in my opinion, and it's rubs me the wrong way a lot more than the COVID stuff. So apparently, and I haven't looked into the videos that I'm about to describe. I want to go ahead and put that out there, but I don't feel like I need to get the gist of the situation, because I'm going to give a general statement on how I feel. I'm not here to give specific thoughts on every single little word or action that he's taken. But apparently, in the past however many years he's done the podcast, Joe Rogan, there's clips out there that someone's put together of him in different podcasts, different situations, saying, quote unquote, the N-word, which I don't feel like has to be described any more than that. I feel like we kind of all know what that refers to. And from what he said and a lot of what his friends have said in this video, and when he's actually used the word, it's been in context of him quoting someone else saying the word. So he actually said the word, but he's not saying it to anyone. He's quoting what someone else said. I don't know if it was specifically like court documents where someone had said this and he was mentioning it from a court case. I think he was mentioning someone else's joke and he was paraphrasing the joke and stating it, and he said the word. There's a few instances, again, I don't know every instance where he said the word, but as far as I understand and what I've read and looked into the situation and found is that he didn't call anyone the word, and it was never in a negative connotation, as far as other than one instance, which I will describe in a minute, which actually that instance he didn't say the word, but it's another situation. I'll go into that in a minute. But in my opinion, as a non-black, non-African American, non-African, however you want to describe it, person in society, especially in America, you can't say that word and just think and just assume it's going to be okay. Why he was naive to that thought process, I don't know. I think I come from the South, and so growing up in the South, it's a lot more controversial than it is anywhere else. I feel like because there's many generations of people still, not many generations, but there are generations of people still alive. There are many people still alive who saw very devastating actions towards people of color, and specifically black people, of course, surrounding that word in a time where slavery was either going on or we weren't far removed from it. And so you can't expect it to be okay to use that word and no one care, even if it is in context. So I think he was right and okay to use it? Not necessarily. In my opinion, I wouldn't have ever used it. I don't understand why he didn't just say, quote unquote, the N word, because I don't think anyone has an issue with someone saying it like that. That's how I would have used it. But on the other hand, I think that we need to be very rational in understanding, and we need to be able to, as a society and as people who are all really one race, the human race, we're all the same species. We all need to look at the context and understand that it's not the same thing. Even if you disagree with him doing it, it's not the same thing as someone saying it in a negative connotation and calling someone that word with racial content, a negative racial hierarchy behind it. It's just not. It's not the same thing. He wasn't doing that as far as I understand it. And so even though it may be seen wrong in a lot of people's eyes, which again, I disagree with it, I don't think that we should write him off as a racist. I don't think that we should cancel him, because I don't even agree with cancel culture to begin with. I think it's ridiculous. This is America, so we all should have free speech, the right to free speech, and whether you agree or disagree with what someone says, they can say what they want, because that lends to us having freedom here that you don't have in a lot of countries. And so you don't have to agree with what everyone says, because let's be honest, we're not ever going to get to a point in any country, much less America, where we all agree with what everyone says. If no one ever said anything outside of a box of what was considered okay, and we make it that way for everyone in America, it's going to be the most bland, lacking creativity, boring, unsustainable society. No one's gonna be a unique individual. No one's gonna be creative. There's no artistry. There's no individuality. We can't keep pushing towards that type of society, because it's just a never-ending path towards self-sabotage, in my opinion. So I don't think he should have said it, period. I wouldn't have said it. Do I think he should be canceled? No. I'll move on from that. The last thing is that he made a joke, which I just completely don't agree with, and so it's, I just want to state from the beginning, I just don't agree with it. I don't think it was it wasn't a very, what would you call it, tasteful joke. So he made some type of joke, and I'm paraphrasing here, along the lines of, or he got out of a cab with some friends in the hood somewhere. They didn't know where they were, but they were going to watch the movie The Planet of the Apes. And he said something along the lines of, when they got out and they were in the hood, that there was a ton of black people around, and it was like he was in it was like they were already in the movie watching The Planet of the Apes, which is obviously a reference to comparing black people and apes, which is just off the wall, unacceptable to me. It's like, you shouldn't make that comment. There's no world in which black people are going to be okay with you making that comment. I just feel like he's, as a professional, as a podcaster, as someone who's been in media for a long time, he should have been more tasteful with his words, and it should have never got through the filter in his mind. We all have a filter of what we think versus what we say. To think it's bad enough. To let it get past the filter to say it, he shouldn't have done it, period. There's a lot of lines which I think can be crossed with comedy, because I think it should be a safe space for a certain amount of untasteful things to be said, because we need to be a little bit relaxed in life and not take everything so serious. I just don't think that that's one of those lines that we can cross and everyone be okay with it. So shouldn't have happened. That's all I'll say about that. So we'll move on past the controversial stuff, the negative stuff. I'm going to try to keep the rest of the pod positive. I just want to give my thoughts on that because I felt like it was pretty important. Overall, I think Joe Rogan's podcast brings a lot of good to this world. I think it brings more good than negative, and so I'm going to continue to watch it myself. He's had a lot of people come out and support him of all different colors and walks of life. I think he just made a couple mistakes, but we need to all let each other learn from it. All right, moving along. All right, now, one of my favorite parts of the podcast is called Up or Down. I'm going to go live on IG. I'm going to have a list of things that I give thumbs up for or thumbs down for, but I can't explain why, and that's the controversial part of it. That's obviously that's my word for the day. Apparently, I've said controversial so many times, but that's the part of it that's going to spark the comments on IG Live. People are going to be wondering why I said thumbs up or thumbs down. Maybe if you comment on the live, I'll tell you why I said it. Maybe I'll go into it. Maybe I won't. It's not a super long list. It's just me in here today. So let's get to it. Scotty, my boy, what's good? Got the podcast rolling. This ain't no liquor. Can y'all guess what it is? It ain't liquor. Ricky Williams actually signed that for me. So the first thing is fishing. Going fishing. Thumbs up. Grew up on it for sure. Neck tattoos. I'm gonna go thumbs down. Who's at the cam? What's up, dawg? What's up? Rainy days. Thumbs down. The Los Angeles Rams. Man, I'm gonna give them thumbs up. Neuralink, which if y'all don't know, that's Elon Musk's computer chip for your brain that he's coming out with. It's a little too much for me. I'm gonna go thumbs down. Let's see. Keto diet. Thumbs down for me. Full Send podcast. Thumbs up. Them boys doing a good job with what they got going. They got a lot of things going too. Super Bowl halftime show this year. Thumbs up. I forgot, I can't explain, but definitely thumbs up. Christian Guzman, which is a fitness influencer. If you aren't familiar, thumbs up. Been an inspiration for me for sure. He was located in Houston. I still haven't met him to this day, but definitely an inspiration for me. Pepsi, thumbs down. Don't drink too much soda these days. Thumbs down for me. College, thumbs up. Mud runs, love them. Thumbs up. Lastly, Joe Rogan, thumbs up, people. Thumbs up. We are back from IG Live, and we got topic 2 on the docket. We got what I wish I knew. What I wish I knew, and specifically referring to social media. What I wish I knew when I started. So I got a few things listed here, and I'm talking about when my following got going, and I was really into social media, and I really started snowballing, follower count and views and all that, going viral and whatnot. So one of the things I wish I would have known is how much it means to the longevity of your success to strike while the iron's hot. Seriously take this to the bank. When you go viral, when you start catching fire on social media, if you're an influencer and if you want to grow your following, is what I'm thinking with that mindset when I say this. Strike while the iron's hot. Content. Don't put out BS content. Don't put out things that don't represent you well just because you want to put out content, but put out a lot of content. Make sure it's something that represents you well and your message. It falls in line with your why, why you're doing this in the first place, and put it out. And then as you grow, as you get more money, you can invest more in different cameras, different editing software. clothes, whatever it is you need for your niche to get better. Collaborations with other people. You can start traveling more. Traveling helps a lot for collaborations as well as for just content. So strike while the iron's hot is definitely one thing. I did a decent job of this. I definitely did continue to post as I caught that viral flame in the beginning. But I feel like looking back, I definitely could have hit it harder. And maybe anyone would think that in any situation like this, but just know, like, when it happens, even if you don't feel like it, it's worth pushing through, not feeling like posting at certain times to actually keep that ball rolling. So that's the first thing. The next thing would be how lucrative it can actually be. I wish I knew how lucrative it could actually be and how many different avenues there were going to be to make money off social media. There's so many things you guys can do. You can do collaborations with brands that come find you. You can go out and find brands. There's different subscription services like Patreon that you can sign up for, where people that are your followers, your supporters, your friends even can get the exclusive content just based on a paywall. They have to pay a certain amount monthly. Then they get that elite level of content that only you can get is if you pay for that through that paywall. There's all kinds of stuff. There's meet and greets you can do. You can sell merchandise. You can provide a service. Like for me, personal training is a side hustle and side money for me. There's so many ways that you can do it. You can have people pay you to get shouted out on your social media page. There's so many ways. I could just go on for days. And if you guys have any questions about that type of thing, for sure hit me in the DMs on my IG at The Chrome Life or any of my social media outlets. Most of them are at The Chrome Life or at The Chrome Life _. So if you have any more questions about all that, I'm definitely here to help you, because I've got, almost 10 years in the game at this point. So I've seen a lot over the years. How much of a mainstream career it could become. Back when I first went viral, gosh, I can't tell you how many times I heard from people around me, this is something that could go away at any day. This is something that, you don't know if these apps are going to be here tomorrow, this and that. And partially they were right, because take a look at Vine. The Vine app is gone. There was so many creators that started on Vine. But also look at all the creators that started on Vine who are now huge creators on all different kinds of platforms, and not just social media platforms. Look at Logan Paul and Jake Paul. Like them or dislike them, that doesn't matter when it comes to the money they're making. The money they're making is because they started out on an app called Vine, and they started making it there, and they parlayed that into all these other followings on different applications. So a lot of people, especially with old school mentality, were kind of pushing back on how much time I was putting into it. They made me think that it was going to be hard to say social media didn't work out for me and I wanted to get some other type of career job. They felt like it was going to have an effect on that. There's different opinions that were coming at me at the time when it all started for me. And, I feel like I did a pretty good job of balancing both, because I don't ever put all my eggs in one basket. But as far as how much it was going to become a mainstream career, I didn't know that. And I don't think many people saw that coming. I think a lot of people just rolled the dice with it. But if you roll the dice, sometimes you win big. Last thing on what I wish I knew is how to use all of my channels to my advantage. So one thing you need to realize, if you start going viral on one platform, whether you realize it or not, people are going to start looking for you on other platforms. They're going to say, hey, I like this person's content. Do they have a Twitter? Do they have a Patreon? Whatever it may be. Do they have Instagram, Vine, Twitter, Snapchat, all these different things? And so you want to kind of get those other platforms and be active on those other platforms too. I made sure I had every platform, but I really wasn't that active outside of Instagram and Twitter. And a lot of platforms I've kind of ditched, actually, to where I don't even have them. And so focusing on a lot of different platforms and being active on all of them is going to allow you to develop followings everywhere. That way, in case one app does go out the window, you've got a lot of others as well as backup. Okay, so last few things we're going to go over is current events is one thing. I won't go through a ton of current events, but one of the things that's interesting, of course, is the Super Bowl, huge event. Los Angeles Rams, second Super Bowl ever. I think the first Super Bowl was when they were in St. Louis, but still the Rams organization. Cooper Kupp, extremely unexpected superstar that's coming out of the NFL right now. Came out of a small college, didn't really get recruited high, and was far and away the best receiver in the NFL this year in multiple different categories. He won the Triple Crown for receivers, won Offensive Player of the Year, and then also a Super Bowl. And I think the record is that only one other receiver's ever done that in their career ever, which was Jerry Rice, which a lot of people think is the best receiver of all time. But not only did Cooper Kupp do that, but he did all of those things in one season. Not a career, but a season, which is just amazing. And so super proud of that guy. That's super cool for him. You always see a lot of people rally behind an underdog like that, and I hope he continues to have a successful career. Even if he stopped now and retired, he would have an amazing career to speak about. But that's really cool for him. Another really cool thing that happened is for a Los Angeles Rams player as well named Van Jefferson. Won his first Super Bowl ring the same night, rushed immediately to the hospital, and his wife had a child. So for him to bring a child into the world and win a Super Bowl ring in the same night, I mean, two things that stand as the greatest moment in a lot of men's life, and they both happen in one night. I can only imagine just the amount of butterflies and just surreal looking around like, wow, is this really happening type of feelings that he was going through. So congratulations to him, man. I think that's awesome. Another thing, pretty interesting, UFC 271 just went down, and so I won't go too much into it because this isn't a podcast where I talk a whole lot about fighting, but it is something I'm really interested in. And so if you guys do want to hear more about that or the fight game and the UFC in particular, but MMA overall, boxing a little bit, you could check out my podcast, my other podcast with my boy Charlie T called Chrome Corner. So the Chrome Corner tag for Instagram is Chrome Corner MMA, and then on YouTube it's the Chrome Corner. And we do fight picks. We do a podcast talking about picks, and then we also talk about other aspects of MMA. We give our favorite fighters and different things like that, our greatest of all time lists and things like that. So if you're interested in that stuff, you can check out that podcast. That link will be in the description of this video as well. And then we'll move on to the last thing, y'all. End of the podcast, coming to an end, landing the plane, winding it down, is the spotlight. I like to spotlight someone or some page on a social media outlet that will bring value to the viewers. And this time, the TikTok that I'm actually spotlighting, I don't think I've ever spotlighted a TikTok before, is called @RavMalik. So it's going to be @RavMalik. I'll put that on the screen. I'll put it in the description like I always do. But this guy, I just found him recently. Followed him on TikTok, and man, the wealth of knowledge that this guy's providing for people on his TikTok's amazing. He talks about the health industry, not necessarily as far as fitness goes as much as diet and foods, but he talks about all different kinds of things. Tons of info that's useful for all walks of life. Everything from different diets and why they do and don't work, how much sodium content matters, artificial sweeteners, the corruption in the food industry and what they sell you and what's organic and not organic, and how much you should eat of this or that, what benefits you may not know that a specific food would bring you. I find a lot of really cool info and facts on there that I wasn't aware of, and some stuff I was aware of that it just gives me deeper insight into. And so I'll put that on the screen again. But guys, I appreciate the support as always. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell so you get the notifications when I post something. I'm always just trying to bring value to you guys, and you guys supporting, and just it's something as simple as giving the video a like means the world to me. I'm going to finish up this coffee and wind down for the day, get some chores done, you know, back to normal life. And I hope you guys have a great day. Again, thank you. I'm out.